everyone, it's Julia. I wanted to share with you the make and take project that our quilt club did last year, or this last, it was in January, I believe. We had like a 1-day quilt retreat, and we always do a make and take project. And a lot of the members actually did it that day, but I decided to take it with me and maybe share it with you. They're really cute. Everybody was really thrilled with the end result of this project. It's a little snap pouch, and I thought it might be a fun thing to share, just so if in case you have a retreat with a make and take, or maybe a group of women get together, or a craft group or something. This is pretty inexpensive, and it goes together really quick. So I thought I'd share it. In the little packet, we were given one of these little packets, so everything's pre-cut. But there is instructions, and the dimensions of all the pieces are here as well. There's an outside bag, which is this one, I believe, is the batik. So this is the outside bag, and then there's a lining fabric. And the outside bag is 8 by 10, and you can make it bigger if you want a bigger bag, of course. And the inside bag is a little bit bigger. It's 8 inches by 14 inches. And then there's pull tabs, and there's 2 pull tabs. They're 4-inch squares. And then there's a batting piece, and this is like a fusible fleece, and that is an 8 by 10, so we'll be going on the back side of your outer fabric. And then there's also 2 9-inch pieces that are cut from a metal tape measure. So this is just a metal tape measure. The gal that put these kits together actually just took one of her husband's older rulers or whatever tapes and cut it herself. One thing she did do is round the edges a little and put tape around it, and you want to make sure you do that because they can get quite sharp, and that'll prevent them poking out of the fabric or poking you. And then the other thing, she also has another piece in here, and I believe this she just added in case you wanted to put a strap on it. And I think I'm not going to do that part, but anyway, that she did have in here too. And I believe this measures, let me measure this quick. Yeah, it's 2 inches by 10 inches. So that if you do want to put a little strap on it. So let's start with this. The very first thing it says to do is to fold one of the 4x4 pieces of fabric in half, wrong sides together. We're going to form a triangle with this. So just wrong sides together, fold it in half, and then again in half. And then the next step is to, on your inside, which is the piece that's cut a little bit larger, you fold down 1/4 of an inch on both of the short sides and give it a little press. I'm going to do that. Now it's telling me to fold this under, or fold it so you have 1.5 inch, and this is going to form that casing eventually for that ruler or that tape measure. I'm just going to use my little trusty little seam gauge here to get this pretty close to 1.5 inches. The next step is to fuse the batting to the outside fabric, and this is a batik, so there isn't, let me check, but yeah, there isn't really a right or wrong side to this, but of course you'd want to put it on the wrong side. So I'm going to go ahead and fuse that. And then it says that once that's fused, you can do a little bit of quilting on it. And I'll probably do just a diagonal on it just with at my sewing machine and just stitch that. Got a couple Coats and Clark really old thread here and these little cute little wooden spools. And I'm thinking I'm going to use this moss green one. You're not going to see a lot of this stitching. This is such a busy print, but I think I'm going to use that one. And this, like I said, is just like this is actually called Talon. 15 cents is what this was. It's really, really cute. I use these little spools, so if when I pick them up at the thrift store or wherever I find them, I of course want to use the thread, and this is a good thing. I don't know, sometimes thread can, get weaker with age, so I don't like to use it to sew like a stress seam at all, but for something like this, I'm perfectly fine with it. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and I did draw in the lines with my heat erase pen, and I'm going to quilt this now. I'm just straight stitching this. I do have my stitch length set a little bit longer. I have it at a 3. And I'm just going right on the line. And then I also have my gauge so that I'll be able to get these somewhat straight. But I'm not using the gauge for this first stitch line. And then for all the repeating lines, I will lower this gauge. So it goes right on the previous stitch line, and I'm probably about an inch away. Got my quilting done. I'm just going to give this a quick press just to get rid of that heat erase pan. And now it's on to layering this. It looks like you lay it, unfold these, and this gets laid right on the top of this, kind of in the center of it all. And then my little triangle goes on the top so that the raw edges meet and the point is pointing down. And I'm going to get this one pressed quick here. Okay, and this one gets over here. And then you fold this down so that it covers all those raw edges. I'm going to stick a couple pins in there. Now it's back to my sewing machine, and I'm going to just edge stitch this all the way across on both sides. For the little metal tape, you want to make sure that they're face down, and then you're going to slide them into the casing. However, they say in this direction, you don't want to ever, you don't want to sew through this. And so what they would suggest is to bring it up so that the right sides are together. And we're going to clip this, and we're going to sew one side first and then slide these in and then sew the other side, just so that you have a lot of space on the second side so that you don't hit the little tape. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to stitch down here. I got the stitching on one side finished. You do want to make sure that you go back and forth and really, this is going to be a stress point here. So back stitch a couple times on that beginning part. And then I just used a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now it's time to slide in the little rulers. And again, you want them to go face down. And slide this one in. I'm going to do the same on this side. So it'd be facing down. And then I'm going to finish sewing this side. Make sure that those tapes are all the way to my stitch line. Do some clipping, and then I'll stitch this. Again, taking that 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then going back and forth a couple times at the beginning. Before I turn it right side out, I want to edge stitch this or serge it. I don't have my serger set up right now, so I am just going to use my sewing machine and do an overcast stitch on this. My machine has this particular foot that it came with, and it has a couple wires there, and it actually does a really pretty good job of looking like a serged edge. So I'm going to take you back to my sewing machine. I'm going to put this foot on and I'll show you what that looks like. I have you in really close here. I just wanted to share, it does have like a little clip right here, and that is where the outside of your seam should be. And then it has a couple wires that your needle is going to go in and out of. And it just completely covers the seam. And I'll show you at the end. I'll give you some close-ups of what it looks like. I still have that green thread on, so you can really see what it looks like. And like I said, it completely covers the edge. It really very much looks like a serged edge. So I got that done, and now it's a matter of just turning this so the right sides are out. And my little make and take snappy pouch is complete. I really love how it turned out. Whoever put these kits together really did a great job with the colors. And you just pull the little tabs and it opens and then it snaps shut. This went together really quick. I hope, you might have a small group of friends, or maybe you have a sewing circle, or have an upcoming retreat that you need a make and take project for. This would make a great one. Everybody, like I said, really enjoyed it. And it's very useful. Hope you have a chance to create this week. Bye for now.